So we're joined by Julian Correa, who's coming to the end of his third season racing in the UK in the British Talent Cup. So thank you for joining us, Julian.
Thank you for having me.
So how have you enjoyed your third season?
No, it's been a really good season. It's been a tough year, honestly, with a lot of things happening. It's a bit of a sensitive subject for me just because of how special he was to me and to my entire career and my life. Really is, John passed away after the second round this year, and it was really unexpected. He seemed, all good at Donington, and then, he passed away the week right after. So it was really tough to go through that, and then having to change teams, change bikes, and then having to go back and try and figure out how to run the team by myself. And I can't thank everyone who's been with me this whole time. My family, my parents, Michael Bose, who's been probably the biggest influence, the biggest help this entire year. Everyone who came from Michael Ice to help me this year, and we've had our fair share of bad luck, but we've also had the good times. Like I told you before, I had this Olton when I won in race 2 was my 10th podium of the year. So we've had our a decent amount of good luck, and we've been just consistently finishing in the top 5. My worst finish this year I think is 6th when I raced in the wet at Snetterton on the new bike. That was the first race with the new team, and we've just had a really solid year, like I said, with our fair share of bad luck, but with good times as well.
So we'll probably go back to some of the stuff that you've just mentioned there, but so far this year you've picked up your 2 wins. So what's probably been your favourite win so far this year?
Well, it definitely has to be Navarro race 1 when it was big group, and then I think there was an incident about halfway through the race where multiple riders went down in the group, and it was just me and Lucas fighting to the line, and it was a really close finish. Just came down to the line on the front straight and just pipped it off them. But no, that was definitely my favorite race win. I think I was probably a smarter race win at Olton race 2 when when it was wet, and I had to use my head to win that race against Philip. So they both had their own characteristics. I think Navarro was a bit more fun. Olton, you had to be a bit clinched up with the wet, but yeah, I'd say that was my favorite.
So with the Alton Park win, obviously one of the reasons we're actually doing this interview is to get the perspective of an American rider that's come to the UK to race in the UK. So conditions in Florida compared to Cheshire in the rain is quite a big jump. So how do you find racing those sort of like smaller, tighter tracks, etc., compared to what you'd have back home?
Yeah. No, it was definitely a little different. I think we had I don't know if it was a race or maybe a practice session in the wet before Olton previously that I was a part of, so I kind of had a good idea of what Olton was like in the wet. But like you said, it's totally different. It was cold. The rain in Florida, it's kind of super heavy rain for about 15 minutes, and it's all sunny days for the rest of the day. So that was a little different. Our race almost got canceled because of how much it was raining. So I've never really experienced that. And then with the tight, Olton is relatively a tighter track compared to somewhere like where we are now, Donington or Silverstone. So having to work that out was a little different. But like you said, third year, I kind of had that experience around these tight tracks to be as comfortable as possible.
So sort of, if we go right back to the beginning, how did you get into racing in America then?
Okay, so my dad he raced in AMA at the time, and he went to a race.
AMA is now Motor America, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was kind of AMA CCS club racing where he was, and we were living in Jersey at the time, and went to a race, and there was this organization, New Jersey Mini GP, which I still, whenever I can, I like to go up there and have a time with the guys, because I have a lot of friends up there still in Jersey. So yeah, that's where I started. They were doing an organization. They had a bit of what was it? It was like a training day, and they were doing cone drills and all kinds of stuff in the parking lot at the track. So we went, and then I think it was maybe a month later, we went and we tried out one of the 3-day camps they had, and that's where it all really started. Was Jersey. I think it was 2013. I was 4.
Right. Okay.
I was 4. I hadn't turned 5 yet.
So that'd be on a little mini moto then?
Yeah, it was a CRF 50.
Okay.
Yeah, CRF 50 was where I started.
So then your dad now runs the Florida Mini Moto. So Mini GP. So was you involved in that as well, or did he do that after you had sort of moved on?
No, SFL Mini GP's been going on, I think maybe 8 or 9 years now. That's where I kind of, grew up as a rider, was racing with my dad and his organization, SFL Mini GP. And that's where, like I said, I grew up. I met all the friends that I have now in Florida, and continued on the 50s until I got higher and higher and higher, and progressed until I got onto the club racing level, where I started my first club race on a Milwaukee 250.
So what age was you when you suddenly thought you kind of needed to move from America to the UK? Because obviously America have got quite a strong Superbike championship in Moto America, but we sort of say about us not having the ladder platform to get to MotoGP in this country as you would do in America, or in Spain or Italy. But in America it's even worse, isn't it, in terms of the infrastructure to get to MotoGP? So at what point did you realise, okay, I need to get to Europe? And how did you go about actually, because you joined straight to Cresswell Racing, didn't you? So how did you actually come to get to Cresswell, so to speak?
Well, honestly, when I was about 8 or 9, I was playing football competitively.
Correct.
And I had been, I was with one of the top teams in the state for my age group. And, one night I told my parents that I wanted to become serious in racing. And I didn't want to play soccer anymore, and I wanted to put all my focus into racing. And from there, that's when we really got serious, and we started looking into where we have to go to become competitive and get to the top, MotoGP. And in BNB, invited me over to a race in August of 2016, or August of 2017. And I did a BNB race and saw the amount of people that made up a BNB race back then. And my dad was even amazed, because he was running SFL Mini GP at the time. So he was amazed, and we were, we met a couple people. We met Jay Dexter, DRC Leathers there, and that's where it really started. We kept in contact with Jay, ended up getting sponsored by him. He came over to do a race in SFL, and from there we just kept building the relationship up. And 2021 is when I started my club racing level, and I was progressing very, very quickly, taking lap records at every track. And from there we went, and he invited us over because DRC Leathers was sponsoring Microlized Cresswell Racing at the time. So he invited me over to go race, do a wild card, 3 wild cards in 2021, one at the GP, Snetterton, and Silverstone National. And from there, kept building the relationship. I fell in love with the team. I had never really ridden in a team before. I was a part of American Racing in the Ovale Championship, but that still wasn't even, like the team and, that kind of atmosphere that, a team makes up here in BSB. So we did that, and then, obviously kept in contact with John. And then in 2022, I made the change over and came and lived here for 8 months and raced with the Microlized Cresswell Racing team in 2022.
So you've sort of, one of the biggest changes since you've been here is originally the first year you moved to the UK, didn't you? And where was you living when you moved to the UK?
I was living with Jay Dexter, DRC.
So that was the first year, and then from last year, I'm right in saying you then made quite a big switch to actually fly in and out to each round. So Greenpeace will love the travelling involved in that. But you've then gone from living in the UK for 8 months to sort of commuting.
Yeah.
So how have you found the switch to the commuting? And then obviously you've then started to live with, as you mentioned earlier, Michael Bowes, whose son George Bowes races with you. So how was that actually sort of almost having like an adopted UK family, so to speak?
Yeah, no, I mean, my first adopted family was with the Dexters.
Yeah.
They brought me in 2022. I lived with them for 8 months. I think I only went home once in those 8 months. So from there, it was just really difficult for me being away from home. I was the ripe age of 13, living by myself. Well, not by myself, but without my family in the UK. And it was really difficult because I was struggling with the training. I was struggling with all that, and I wasn't being active enough to be competitive in BTC. So I told my dad after the season, I was like, I really want to do this again, and I know I can be competitive because I podiumed in my first ever round in BTC at Silverstone Nationals. So I was like, I know I can be competitive, but I need to be with you guys, and I need to continue with my training. And in 2023, I flew back and forth for every round, and that was the best. We made a massive step, fighting with the front group again consistently, and I was just always on a bike at home. I was just going home, doing my training, then getting on the flight to come. And this year we've kind of found a median, because last year I was still living with Michael Bowes, but only for a week time. And then now I came over. I think the biggest time I was here was maybe a month from when it was Brands to Thruxton. It was about 3 races in 4 weeks or something like that. So that's when I lived with them for a month, but every time I've been flying back and forth. I was in Spain for quite a bit this year, training with the Riders Formation guys. So between Thruxton and here, Thruxton and Olton, right? I went over to Spain, trained with the Riders Formation guys, and then came back over to finish it off here at Olton, and then here for Dunnington. But now I think I've found my comfort zone, and this is what I really find most comfortable, is flying back and forth, seeing my family, and then coming over, living here for quite a bit, and then going back. Which, to be fair, now I've been home for 1 week in the past 10 weeks, so it's been gone from home for quite a bit now. But
I suppose there's that security blanket of knowing, if you know that you're just here for 8 weeks, it's kind of like a big commitment. Whereas because you sort of know that you can come and go as you please almost, it kind of releases the pressure, doesn't it? Because you're not trapped here. You know that you've got that release of going back to Florida as and when you sort of want to. So, because Michael Bowes is based up in Yorkshire, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that must be quite a big dynamic, because rural Yorkshire is quite different to Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah.
So do you quite like the quaint English lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I've been here for 3 years now, but living up there, it's nice because even with the training, it's a new kind of training for my body mainly, because up in the elevation with the air, the air thins out the higher you go, and in Florida I run on the beach and you get a big breath of moist air. So it's a bit different, but I think it's good for me to get that little bit of new training for my body, and then living with them, I think it's super cool. We make the trip to Leeds every time I'm here, just to go get lunch, me and George, and I really enjoy it living with them.
Because I remember seeing on social media probably a month ago, you actually did an evening with the Yorkshire Racing Club, didn't you? So was it Gav Emmett presented it, and then it was yourself and George, yeah. So that must be quite cool, sort of being able to do evenings like that as well.
No, yeah, they're big supporters of George, and I was living with George at the time, and they were doing a talk show one of the evenings. So Michael asked me if I would like to join. As we talked before, I don't mind doing the media stuff. I quite enjoy it. So went over and they asked. I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to be a part of it. And then Gavin Emmett being there was also really cool, because he's probably the most famous commentator in MotoGP. Everyone knows who he is. So I thought that was super cool. Met a bunch of cool people there, and like you said, it was very enjoyable.
So how's the dynamic? Because obviously, as a racer, not everything always goes your way. So what's it like actually having, say, instead of having your dad, you can act differently with your actual parents to, say, like friends, so to speak. So what's it like when something hasn't gone well, and then you sort of go back to the awning and it's Michael and not your dad? Do you have you sort of, has that made you almost mature differently, because you have to react differently to bad scenarios?
I mean, this year I've had my fair share of poor times, and my dad is, it's not like my dad isn't here, but my dad's here on my phone virtually, so, I always have to calm him down at times. But no, with Michael being here, he's brought me in like my dad. He's been there like a dad, and he's been supportive no matter what happens. When I was there for my first win, he was there. When I won at Olton, he was there. He was the first person who congratulated me when I pulled in the park for him at Olton. So, honestly, we've had such a good year this year overall that I haven't really had to worry about that too much. But I mean, having them, and obviously it's going to be a little different. You don't want to treat Michael as I treat my dad. Like, I mess with my dad a
Yeah.
bunch, and me and Michael have built that bond, that relationship where we're able to mess with each other and all that. So I wouldn't say it's too different, but it's very similar.
Because there was a really nice photo at the end of last year you put on Facebook of Michael, George, and yourself. I think it must have been at the garages at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Sat on the floor, and I thought that was a really nice picture because I think it might have been George. It looked like both of you and Michael both really looking at George as if he was telling you a story.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice image of sort of the relationship the three of you have sort of got.
No, of course. I mean, we've been traveling all over the UK for the past 2 years now. So me and George have really built that brother relationship where, even when I'm at his house, we're sleeping in the same bed. So we've kind of built that brother relationship, and then, obviously having Michael as his dad, and then Michael bringing me in as my dad. It's been, we're kind of like the three amigos. Whenever in the van, we're all listening to music, and then on the way to the track, bumping music in the van, and then, whenever we go and have dinner together, it's super fun. We've built that, amazing bond that I'll forever cherish.
So, because obviously a lot of talk is about bike racing. So you've just mentioned music there. So you big into music? What sort of? So what would be, when you're sort of putting your music on, what would be your choice, and how does it differ from Michael and George's?
Well, Michael's a big into classical music, where he likes the older classical music. So, and then me and George obviously are big into the newer music where we play, the pop, the R&B, the rap, all that. And then Michael actually, to be fair, does like the old school rap, which me and George do enjoy. So that's mainly what we like to play together. And then, George and Michael have their relationship where they both like the classical music, and we all have our fair share of what we put on in the van.
Right, not much Oasis going around as
No, definitely not. No.
So, sort of, you touched on him at the start. So obviously, John Cresswell is a massive part of this paddock, especially this championship. So, have you got a particular memory of John that you'd like to share? Because obviously, that was a shock to everyone when he passed. So, is there a story that you think sort of sums him up well, or?
Honestly, I did a special helmet for him at Silverstone, and the big quote I had on the back was, "Is the tiger out today?" And I will never forget that quote because before my first ever podium in BTC, I had, I don't know, maybe a finished P8 or P7 the day before, and I was like a little bummed. And he, that's what he told me every single time before I went out. He always asked if the tiger was out to make sure I was ready and ready to go. But no, he was such a good person. He had such a beautiful heart and soul where he was just always making sure I was good, no matter what the result was. He was always there in the awning, with a hug, ready to give me the support I needed. And like I put in my post back in 2022 about mid-season, I hit a really low point where I became really homesick and I wasn't able to perform. And I even lost faith in myself because I had just kind of felt like I was there and I wasn't able to do anything, and he was always there to help me and to make sure that I was in the right headspace before I went out. And then, it does haunt me to this day that the last race he ever saw me compete in, I crashed down at the Long Lap Loop here. But I will always be grateful that he got to see my first, international win, first European win. So.
I think that's actually something I should have said earlier. When you said about you got the podium at Silverstone National, that I'm right in saying you're the first American to get a podium. So that's a massive accolade in itself, isn't it? I guess. So because when you're talking about the way John is, he's obviously brought through so many riders. The CV speaks for itself, doesn't he? Because you're on a long list of sort of
it's
Scott
42
Ogden.
riders. 42 riders he's brought into this class, yeah. Alan Roberts, who's the technician for the team, did the math yesterday for the memorial. 42 riders he's brought in through the classes.
And that'd be even like someone like Cormac Buchanan.
Yeah, Cormac, Brandon Posh, Asher Durham, who's still in the paddock.
Scott Ogden, Casey O'Gorman. Yes, as CVs go, he's certainly left quite a nice history, hasn't he? So, Yeah, no. So they were lovely words. So sort of ending on a slightly more positive note.
Yeah.
So what's your aims for? Obviously, we're sat here Saturday just after qualifying, so we don't know how the championship's going to end. But what are your aims next season, and does your position in the championship make a difference to what's going to happen next year, or is that sort of what happens next year is kind of away from the results this weekend?
No, I think obviously the main goal is going to be Red Bull Rookies Cup, and for that, to get a guaranteed spot, you want to win the championship. And, if you win a Town Cup, you go straight to a Rookies Cup. So that's my main goal this weekend. 34 points off, but there's 3 races this weekend, so anything can happen really. So that's my main goal, is just to try. I'm in 4th right now, 1 point off 3rd, and then 5 or 6 points off 2nd. So that's just my main goal, is just try and go out, get the best result possible, make sure my rivals finish behind me, let everything else play out. But, like you said in the championship, obviously want to go first, win the championship, go straight to rookies without having to do the selection event. But, like we spoke on before, there's, a couple offers and to go all over the place. And I haven't really found out the place now, but after the season's done, we'll start worrying about it.
So it's one of them ones where hopefully we don't see you back in this paddock. It'd be great to see you go on to Junior GP.
Yeah,
but
that's the main goal, of course, is Junior GP.
Yeah, but if that obviously can't happen, then it'd be great to have you back in his paddock. I think, I think with the British Talent Cup, it's great that the top American riders, etc., are coming here, because I think the higher the standard, the better it is for the British riders as well. So I think having riders like yourself, Josh Raymond as well this year, his rookie year, has shown quite a lot of speed. So having the fast Americans using British Talent Cup, I think is great for the series as a whole. And I assume that you wouldn't put anyone off coming here for the British Talent Cup, would you?
Yeah, no, of course. I think this championship, when I started it 2 years ago in 2022, I immediately fell in love with the championship. The environment, the atmosphere, the circuits here in BSB are amazing. And then, just everything you get in BTC. You get the perfect amount of track time in the weekend. The races are really nice length, and the level we've gotten to now is ridiculous. We've made some, we've broken the lap record at nearly every circuit this year, and almost by second at most of them. So I think the level that we're bringing the BTC to is really good, and I would recommend this championship to any American that wants to go and race in Europe. I think this is one of the, if not the best stepping stone going into Junior GP or the ETC.
I think something people don't realise as well is you've got Matt and Alex Baldellini doing an awful lot of work with you riders behind the scenes, don't they, in terms of the training, the track walks, etc. So it's not just a championship where you get track time, etc. You get all of the stuff on the side to help you grow as a rider, don't you? Which I think is something a lot of people that come to BSB might not realise.
No, Matt, I've been working, with Matt Balton and Alex Baldellini for, this, like I said, this is my 3rd year, and I'm so grateful for them. They do so much for us in the BTC, and, they help us. You do the track walks on the Thursday. They added the Cooper test now, twice, so a fitness test to go out and, have a gauge for where you are, fitness-wise, and then you have the briefings after the practice sessions to, if you have any questions, and they can help you. Alex is a very experienced, World Supersport rider, and he was, very competitive back in his day. So he knows, a thing or two about on the bike, and then, Matt knows the technical side of things where, maybe he hasn't gotten to the level of Alex, but he's done the studying to try and get, on the same point for the knowledge on how to be quick on a bike. So, he's worked with Scott Ogden, he's worked with multiple, English riders who have come through this paddock, and you see Scott now, he's competitive in the Moto3 World Championship. So both of them know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, and it's just a great platform overall, BTC. You have the off-track learning, and then on-track, you have the high level for riders.
So spill the beans then. How different is the results in the fitness test to the actual races?
No, it's totally different, honestly.
Where do you finish in the fitness test?
Fitness test, I don't know, it was maybe 5th or 6th in the group, I think.
Right.
So, it was kind of good. Honestly, I was a bit scared because last time I did the Cooper test, my legs were destroyed for the next day, so I was kind of like held back a little bit on this one. But no, I mean, the fitness test is really good to at least have a gauge where you are compared to other riders. You know, sometimes you think, oh, you know, I'm flying now, I'm so good, and then, you know, you come to the fitness test next to other riders, and you're like, well, maybe I'm not that good, I still have more to improve.
It's one of them, isn't it? Everyone improves. Most riders are always improving. It's just how far up the curve you're improving, isn't it? So like all the work you put in, I suppose it's a good guide as to what it's actually achieving. But so have you got any, sort of, we've gone through quite a bit there, so have you got any like sponsors etc you'd like to shout? Obviously you've mentioned DRC Leathers. Have you got any others you would like to give a mention to?
Protection wise, I want to thank HJC Helmets, who have, you know, stuck with me for the past 4 years now. I've been with HJC, and, you know, they continuous support. You know, whenever I need a new helmet, maybe I crash or something, they have it there, they have it ready. The Oxford, you know, the Oxford truck who's here, they're amazing people. They've been helping me and, you know, servicing my helmets for the past, you know, two, 3 seasons now. And you know, my whole team, you know, everyone who's my Michael Ice guys who came over, like I said before, and came over to support and help me run the team. You know, honestly, Michael Bose is the biggest one. Michael he's been, you know, my Lord and Savior. Honestly, he's saved the team, and he's the one who's been organizing everything. That's a really special one too to Alan Edwards and Joe, who have, you know, brought us in and given us the awning and, you know, built that another family relationship up. And, you know, they were also my Lord and Saviors this year, because they've given me, you know, my smile back and, you know, the excitement to go racing again. Because after Brands Hatch, honestly, I had told my dad that I don't want to race this year anymore. I just feel like there's so much things that are happening out of my control. It just doesn't feel right. And Alan and Joe came in and they helped bring it all back together. You know, Bobby, Emily, Jay, Alan Roberts, the technician, like I was saying before, all of them. It's been an unreal season. You know, we've had our ups, we've had our downs, but overall, it's been a really good season. You know, my parents at home, I don't get to see them super often until the winter time, but, you know, like I said, the continuous support everyone's been giving me. My little brother, Sean Dillon Kelly, my rider coach, Danny Valle from Riders Formation, who's brought me in and taught me. You know, he's been a really critical part and, you know, pivotal role in my career this year. And yeah, everyone, I can't thank everyone so much.
It's a cliche, isn't it? But happy riders generally go faster, don't they? So I think the way you speak, and you're obviously really enjoying it, and I think the results are showing. So yeah, massive, like, really good luck for today and tomorrow. And who knows, I might be uploading it as British Talent Cup champion Julian Correa when I do this in the week. So
that's my goal. That's my target.
Well, yeah, so fingers crossed. And yeah, no, thank you for your time. And as I said, since you've come over, you've always really brought into the concept that I'm running. So I really appreciate that from, like, both you and yourself and your dad. So yeah, good luck. And hopefully we won't see you here next year. But if you are here, we will be pleased to have you back.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Cheers.